All right, we will recess the special Board of Education closed session to be convened later. And then we will convene the regular Board of Education open session meeting at 7:03. Mr. Wong, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please rise.
Happily. You can please stand, please. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Let the roll call show all members are present, cabinet's present. Moving on to item 2.4, report on the Board of Education study session held this date. We talked about our strategic plan and our LCAP plan and some of the funding for that, but took no action. 2.4.1, Board of Education closed session has been recessed and will be convened later discussing some expulsion proposals that will be dealt with later in this agenda. All right. Moving on to the order of business. I believe we have a couple of items to pull from this agenda. Is that correct?
We do, Mr. President. We ask that agenda item 3.1, recognition of Skills USA regional participants, be rescheduled to the next board meeting on May 27th, as there were last-minute conflicts which prevented the students from being present tonight. Also, we ask that agenda item 5.2, HP managed print services, be pulled from this agenda. And we also ask that agenda item 9.4, expulsion case number 1415-10, be pulled from this agenda, and that agenda item 9.5, readmission of expulsion case number 1213-01, also be pulled from this agenda.
All right. Any other changes to the order of business? All right. Item 3.1.1, the Board of Education wishes to recognize and congratulate the Monrovia High School Kings and Queens robotics team and teacher advisor Tom Dobson. Tom, if you would meet me at the podium there, we will recognize.
Yes.
Are we on? We're live. I will just say before we let Tom introduce the team and talk a little bit about where they've been and what all they've done, this team has been out in the community for months here. But more than being just out in the community, saying here's what we're doing and support us, they've been doing great things in the classroom, in the robotics lab, and on the competition field. So we're so happy to be able to recognize you guys, and I'll let Tom describe what's going on. We appreciate you, Tom, for your leadership in this effort.
Well, thank you very much. I thank you for inviting us to be here. And, you know, it's maybe best just to start where it all started. About 9 years ago, a group of students came to me and kind of asked, you know, maybe we could do some robotics. And there was 9 students, and we started off on this journey. And 9 students and a coach who didn't really know what the heck he was doing. And, you know, we just jumped in and we started building robots and competing in the first Tech Challenge robotics competitions. Each year it got a little bit bigger, and now 5 years later we have 5 teams and almost 50 students in our after-school robotics program. These kids probably put in more time after school on robotics, and I hate to say it, probably they do in their other academic endeavors. They spend a tremendous amount of time living and drinking and sleeping robotics. It's very inspiring as a coach to watch them do what they do. This year, all 5 of our teams managed to qualify for the LAFTC Regional Championships that were held at Monrovia High School. And one of our teams, the Kings and Queens, then qualified out of the regional championships by coming in second place in Spire, which is the top award in the tournament, and they qualified for the Western Super Regionals that were held in Oakland, California. That was where the top robotics teams from the 13 Western states all got together and duked it out to see who would qualify for the World Championships. And lo and behold, Kings and Queens managed to make it through and qualify for the World Championships on the strength of a second place design award. The judges really liked what they had done with their scoop. They had made it out of plastic and had molded themselves in an oven in their somebody's kitchen, right? Brian, was this your oven that they had molded this thing? And so the fact that they had, come up with that technique was really exciting to the judges, and so that moved them on into the World Championships in St. Louis. And there were 164, 162. 128, okay, sorry. 128 teams were, the top 128 teams in the world met at the World Championships. And these were teams from all over the world, not just the United States, teams from Mexico and Denmark and Germany and Romania and Italy. Truly an international group of robotics students. And it was amazing to watch. It was really fun, and the Kings and Queens ended up placing in the top 100, which is a huge achievement. The fact that they made it to the World Championships and were ranked as one of the top 100 teams in the world, I find it humbling. It was amazing. So I'd like to introduce the Kings and Queens. Let's see, should I go ahead and Francisco, come on up. Aren't you? Come on, you're good, you're good. Thank you. And stay. And Osvaldo. Oh. And Camille. And Melissa Johnson. And Colette. And Roberto. And for Brian Johnson, the next coach. And I would like our dedicated coach, Brian Johnson, to also come on up and be part of this, because he puts in a tremendous amount of time and hours making sure that these young folks really can compete well.
And Tom, we have a certificate for you. And Brian, I'm not sure where your certificate is, but we will find it and get it to you. So Tom, if you'd join us up here. Want to thank you again so much for your hard work and just showing that Monrovia High is the home of scholars and champions. The boards are going to join me in to welcome you, and we'll have a photo opportunity here for those that would like to take a photo. right, thank you so much. Always fun to see these kids that do so much and so wonderfully in these competitions. Item 3.2 is board member reports. Board member Zuko has a report.
I just have a short one. Wanted to thank Ken Singleton from Food Services and the cabinet and everyone that made this morning's staff appreciation pancake breakfast a lot of fun. It was nice here in the parking lot, and we got to flip pancakes, and I didn't get quite enough bacon, Darvin. I saw a lot of bacon, and I only got like a couple pieces of bacon, but it was very nice, and I know all the campuses do a lot for the teachers, but and the staff, but it was a very nice, I like the tradition of doing that, and so it's very nice. Thank you. That's all.
And I'd just like to say one thing, and that is a big, big thank you to PTA. I haven't had a chance to do a report since the PTA Founders Day, and that was a great event, recognizing those folks that do so much for our schools and work so hard to make our students' experience even better. So thank you again to PTA and to all those folks, particularly the awardees, but all the PTA members that help us so much every day. All right, anything else, Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank the Rotary Club of Monrovia for their generous donations to the PTA of Mayflower. That's it.
All right, moving on to item 3.3, report from Dr. Therosian.
Thank you. I have a few updates, Mr. President. Members of the board, I am excited to announce that we have officially learned Monrovia High School has earned the gold ribbon designation. Now, Mr. McGinnis, congratulations. It is exciting because this is the 2014 equivalent of the California Distinguished School designation for any school. And in this time without assessment results, what schools were asked to do was identify a signature program that incorporated exemplary practices, and that program was the Math and Science Academy at Monrovia High School. And so we had a team from the LA County Office of Education come and walk through our classrooms from the MASA program, the Math and Science Academy program, as well as meet with the counselors, some teachers, parents, of course the administrators, look at some of the data, and they were so impressed they want everybody to come and look at that MASA program and see how it might be replicated. So and we all know that nothing happens in a vacuum. The support that the MASA program has experienced is also the support from the rest of the school. It is not an island unto itself. It is a product of a great deal of work from many parents, many staff members, and certainly the brainchild of somebody here on our cabinet, Dr. Jackson, and enjoying extreme support from the board. Nothing is possible without that. And so we're very grateful for the leadership and the continued support of that extraordinary program. Monrovia High School has also, again, been recognized as a silver school from U.S. School News and World Report rankings, and that's available online, and we'll put a link to that on our website, as I'm sure Mr. McGinnis will from his. We've also been enduring, and that's the correct term, federal program monitoring visit. This is a visit that identifies all of our practices and checks to make sure that we are in compliance with everything. Ronnie Maddox should be commended for the almost 1,000 documents that she uploaded or found as a result of this monitor. And we were hoping to get 0 findings. We got 1 that we've already corrected and will be submitting. within the next couple of weeks. And it is simply a detail. It's very exciting, and we're all very happy that this part is behind us, because Ms. Maddox would not have been able to complete any of her work without many of our staff members, particularly our principals, who worked tirelessly to make sure that those documents were in place and available. So it's an extraordinary amount of work that nobody had been anticipating this year. She's not sure what she's going to do next year now that this is over. I'd also like to provide a brief update about the progress that we've made at Mayflower Elementary School. It's nice to see the group here. As you know, we began discussing field renovations back in the summer, in July, for Santa Fe, Clifton, and Mayflower Elementary Schools. And the reason these renovations needed to occur is because with the economic recession that we endured, we deferred many maintenance items, some which were critical for our campuses, including fields, which had gotten to a condition where it was almost not safe to either have PE classes on them or have intramurals or have kids run through them for recess or lunch. So that became a priority for the board, and the discussion for field renovation began in earnest probably in October of this year. The January 14th and February 11th board reports about the Mayflower project and the community meeting at Mayflower on January 26th included an additional item, and that was the fencing, because the board, in its effort to look at a comprehensive project, recognized an interest in replacing the lower fence, and thought that by combining that project with the field renovation, it might be more cost effective, which it was, according to Mr. Marchetti. So we began presenting about the field renovation and the fencing projects in December. In fact, Ms. Wu and Mr. Marchetti attended a coffee with the principal back in December to present the information, which was also agendized at PTA meetings and posted on the website of Mayflower Elementary School to make sure that all of our constituents were informed. In fact, during our March board meeting, we had Mr. Rogers, one of our neighbors. We had that community neighbor meeting, and one of our neighbors presented to us an alternative to the chain link that we were looking at, and said that he had found a proposal that was going to be far less than the $55,000 to $60,000 proposal we had seen, and about with a wrought iron replacement. Unfortunately, Mr. Marchetti has since met with that alternative person, and given the requirements of a school and a school district, the cost went up. And so it's more in line with the quotes that we had originally received. However, Mr. Marchetti is undeterred and is continuing to look for some other alternatives, and will be presenting it to the board. We have the temporary fencing still up during the field renovation project anyway. So we're going to use this time to do what we can. One of the really nice parts of where we are is that Mr. Marchetti now has a group of people with whom he can work to try and get some new alternatives. The only input we had received during this 3-month process of meeting and discussing fencing at Mayflower was from Mr. Rogers, and as well as our school site council, who recommended the replacement of that 4-foot fence with something higher. In late March, we received emails and some information from a group of parents who are advocating for some additional fencing. And while I wish some of those discussions had occurred earlier on so that we could, rather than replace a 4-foot fence that did serve as a barrier, reallocate the funds to add fencing in the northern section perimeter of the campus on Mayflower. We do now have an opportunity to relook at everything. We had a meeting with the parents at Mayflower Elementary School and have developed 3 subcommittees based upon the concerns that we heard, mostly in the month of April. And we met, I believe, with parents after a board meeting on April 14th. We met with parents on April 28th, and 3 really good positive outcomes came from that, and these are these subcommittees. We identified a surveillance system subcommittee, visitor access or fencing subcommittee, as well as one that was looking at some of our practices with letting students out of the classroom. And so those 3 seem to those 3 subcommittees seem to encapsulate the fundamental concerns of those speaking, and we want to make sure that we enhanced our safety processes and procedures. Chief Hunt was at that meeting and has continued to say that Mayflower is a safe school. However, the board, in its wisdom, is always looking for ways through which we might enhance safety at every one of our schools, and we have a group of parents active and committed to seeing if there are ways through which we might do this. In fact, it was through the communication with parents, we communicated one of those concerns to teachers at Mayflower Elementary School, and within days they came up with a solution that met everybody's needs, and it was fairly simple. So actually speaking with teachers who are implementing their own practices, whether or not they are widely known, and they are practices that teachers can alter in order to meet the unique needs of every community. In fact, what I'd like to do is quote from the California Department of Education, Stephanie Pappas, who talks about the issue of safety. She said that it's one that's under local control and that communities are diverse and have varying needs. So state law requires that each site have a comprehensive school site safety plan created by the school site council, and which is exactly what occurred at Mayflower, and the recommendations of which this board listened. The committee, with consultation with local experts, creates a plan to meet the requirements and local needs. You want to build a campus that is open, inviting, and warmly receptive to students, adults, and visitors, and provide for the safety of everyone on campus. Someone who is determined to enter a campus and create harm will find a way to do so, even with fences and cameras. That is the unfortunate truth. Fencing, again, in terms of fencing, state law requires that schools provide for the safe ingress and egress of students, staff, and parents. It's a local decision how to best provide for this. Some schools choose to have a sign in and out procedures. Others have perimeter fencing and gates. This can present issues during the school day since students and adults come and go throughout the day. Fencing is more effective in the evenings and weekends to secure the campus. Again, it's something new information that we might want to consider. In terms of surveillance cameras, best used in a high crime area is the recommendation of the California Department of Education, and the opinion rather, and serves as a deterrent to crime during, after school, evening, and weekends. They do not provide much security during the regular school day and serve no purpose unless they are monitored or watched. This is also in line with what Chief Hunt said at the meeting at Mayflower. They can be expensive and are usually the first thing vandalized. Some schools have installed dummy cameras to give the perception that there are security cameras in place. Again, questions to ask: how much crime, actual crime, not just student misbehavior, takes place on the campus? Do we have the funds to purchase, maintain, and consistently monitor? And what will the benefits be? So these are just some information that we might want to consider and incorporate in terms of our conversations that we've been having at the subcommittee level, and I wanted to make sure to make that public as our subcommittees meet. I believe that 2 of our subcommittees have met, and by the end of the week, all 3 of our subcommittees will have met. And I am hopeful that with this additional manpower, really, in terms of individuals interested in seeking new solutions, we might find some innovative ideas through which we might enhance the safety at Mayflower. But I will continue to update the board as we progress. And for those of you who volunteered to be part of those subcommittees, thank you very much. Your efforts have been, will make a positive difference on our campus. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Throsian. I just want to emphasize, Chief Hunt was very clear. Chief Hunt is the head of the police department, the leading safety, security expert in the community of Monrovia. He was very adamant that Mayflower is a safe, Monrovia is a safe city, and that he was well pleased with our safety plans and what was going on at Mayflower. I also wanted to ask you how soon we're going to get our logos up at Monrovia High and in our boardroom. How long do you think that might take? I'm anxious. We've been waiting for that one. There's been a hole in that group on that side for several years, and we're going to get to fill that in now with the silver, with the golden ribbon award. So
on May 22nd, there will be an awards ceremony with State Superintendent Tom Torlakson in San Diego, where we hope to get some new information and perhaps a logo. We're all keeping our fingers crossed and listening to new information so that we can actually have it emblazoned.
we will look forward to that. Thank you. Item 3.4 is public comment for items not on the agenda. The board encourages public participation, invites you to share your views on school business. Those of you that would like to do that, please complete the addressing the Board of Education form and give it to Ms. Mariconda here. Ms. Mariconda, do we have speakers this evening for items not on the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President, we do. First speaker is Michael Eggleston.
Michael Eggleston. If you would like to take the podium there and speak into the microphone, please.
Good evening, President, Vice President, distinguished board members. My name is Michael Eggleston, and I am a Monrovian by heart. I come today to talk to everyone on camera and all of you. And first thing I want to say is thank you for what you've been doing, all of you been doing. I've known some of you for 5 years, 10, 20, some of you 30 or 40 years. I am a fourth generation Monrovian. I am a government agent retired, policeman retired. I go around the world as a government and a subcontractor on threat problems. I have been here since I was a little boy. My great-grandparents were here. My great-grandparents went to school here. My grandparents went to school here, all the way through my family. I have back here some of the finest educators we have in the Monrovian School District, who at this time are in charge of my son, and he is my life. I had my first daughter went to a web school because traveling Europe, I learned that a private boarding school was the way to go with education. Boy, was I wrong. I brought her back. She loves Monrovia. I love everything about Monrovia. And there was a couple issues that came about, perfectly great issues from some concerned parents about Mayflower. Being an expert for the last 35 years around the world, state governments, federal governments, and here my last 10 years were in South Central and Watts, I make sure all over the world and here that the high schools, lower schools, middle schools have a great rapport with their parents and make sure that when I'm asked to, I consult for them. Last month on the television, there was some parents who were concerned pertaining to the safety of Mayflower School. Well, my child's grandmother went there, mother, and now my children are going there. I'm on campus 5 days every week, unless we have a holiday. And I can tell you from my professional opinion, not only as a very father who's not paranoid, but just very careful, that school in question is phenomenal. It has the greatest aspect of security that you'll ever have are the staff that are in front of you. Each one of them knows the parents, knows who belongs. They say hi to us. Every year we get together. Every month we get together. I've been a volunteer now since 1976, and I wear this with pride. I am a volunteer, a non-paid employee of your school district, and I take that to heart. I think it's one of the greatest things someone can do. I'm also a paid consultant for these issues. I'm not here as a paid consultant. I'm here as a parent who has a child in Mayflower. Last year was our first year that one of my family members have not been a teacher in your school district since way before I was born, way before World War II. We have always had as a family, a teacher in your school district. I'm very happy that my wife graduates USC on Friday, and she's hopefully going to join your school district because she's graduating with a master's in education. She wants to keep our family going. Certain things about the people, PTA, teachers, principals of our high school, principals of our Mayflower, they are the only security asset you really need. I've gone all around the world about putting cameras up, large fences, having armed guards, having unarmed guards, having canines. These are all wonderful things to have, but it really gets down to the safety of your staff. Do they know the children? Do they know the parents? Do they get together for certain meetings? Do they come together and speak with you when a parent has a concern? I think on the 15th and the 19th or sometime during last month, I saw on the telly that some of the parents had issues about Mayflower. They are well-founded issues because it's in their heart. It's what they feel. This year, I've seen so much work done just in this 5 months of this calendar year at our schools. My old neighbor, Mr. McGinnis, has moved over to the high school, left Mayflower to go to high school. Love it, because now he's running a whirlwind educational program, as just been announced, another award. I want to tell you, as a father, as a security professional, as a peace officer, as a government agent, Mayflower is exquisite. As with Santa Fe, my auntie, Gail LeBeau, worked there for years and years. Mr. Hammond came to her funeral. That was how nice the people in Monrovia are. My auntie, Fawn Wood, back in the 30s, was working here. Last year, Marlene Wood left, retired from Mayflower, was the nicest teacher ever. It's about people. It's not about men like me or women carrying guns, looking in videos. It's about human tendencies working together as family and friends of a school district. And I must applaud you first. You are all the workers there who keep my son safe. And applaud all of you for hiring wonderful people. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you and to the wonderful staff at our school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Eggleston. Other speaker cards, Ms. Murakonda?
Yes, Mr. President. Sarah Edgington.
Good evening. This is not my thing, but I'm going to try. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. My name is Sarah Edgington. I have a son who's a second grader at Mayflower. Next year, I am thrilled to have my youngest one join a kindergarten class at Mayflower as well. My husband is a firefighter paramedic for LA City Fire Department. So safety is obviously at the forefront of our minds as well. I'm a PTA board member. I serve on school site council, and I also am serving on the kindergarten subcommittee that Dr. Therosian discussed. I attended the safety meeting as well last month and listened with an open mind to all the information, especially what Chief Hunt said. Let me first say that I love Mayflower. For the moment my son started, I loved it. Nothing made me feel that my son was not safe there. If I ever felt it was not safe, I would bring it to the principal's attention. And there's been other issues that I've come to Dr. Kadoroyan with, and they've been immediately met and discussed with vigilance, with immediate attention, with no problem. Having her at our campus this year has been the biggest blessing. There aren't words to describe how dedicated she is, how energetic she is, supportive, and amazing. She has a genuine interest in our students, the faculty, and parents. And it truly puts our school at its best. I think her heart and the board's heart and Dr. Therosian's heart is with the safety of our students, and I believe our school is safe, and I feel very strongly about that. And I thank you for your proactive responses to everything, to all the parents and all their concerns. And as you can see, all the parents here wouldn't be here in support of her and the school and the district if not otherwise. Thank you for listening and for having us here, and for putting your efforts into this matter. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Edgington. Ms. Mariconda?
There are no further speakers.
Having no more cards and seeing no one standing up to speak, we'll move on to item 3.4.1, public comments for items on the open session agenda. Comments may be made at this point or at the time the item is considered in its place on the agenda. Are there any speakers for?
I've received no requests to speak.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 4.0, the consent agenda. Our items that have been placed on here have been carefully screened by staff and the board and will be considered with one action. Could I have a motion, please?
With the notation earlier, I'll move consent.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Mariconda, please take the vote.
Board Member Zuko?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to item 5.3, web hosting contract. Turn that over to Mr. Buchanan for an explanation of this. I better have a motion first so we can discuss this. Could I have a motion for this contract?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Buchanan.
Good evening, President Gilliland and the board. This evening, I'm asking the board to award a 3-year contract to Edleo Inc. for web hosting, effective starting July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2018. Monrovia Unified uses web hosting for the district and school websites. Our current provider, the contract ends in June 30th. Their price will increase due to changes in federal funding to over $19,000 a year. So a team and I went out looking for an alternative solution, and we selected this solution, Edleo, and their costs will be around $6,800 per year with a $2,400 startup cost. So a significant savings for the same service.
Any questions or discussion? Ms. Mariconda, please take the vote.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Zuko?
Yes.
President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 6.3 is a new course offering for the high school advanced placement Spanish language and culture. Could I have a motion?
Second.
All right, Dr. Kaiser.
Yes, we're seeking approval for a new course offering for the high school students, Advanced Placement Spanish Language and Culture. This course is for non-native and native Spanish speakers, and it is an AP course that may be used for AP Advanced Placement credit.
Dr. Kaiser, what year is it going to be offered?
It'll be offered beginning next year.
I mean, for what grade level?
Oh, what grade level? This is for students that have taken Spanish 1 and 2, so it can be taken at sophomore, junior, senior year.
Thank you.
Is there a corresponding exam to go with the culture and?
Yes, there is.
Any more questions or discussion? Ms. Maricona, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Zuko,
Yes.
President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 6.4 is a new course offering for high school students, video game design foundations.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Dr. Kaiser.
Okay, we're seeking approval for a new course offering for the high school students in video game design foundations that will give them many technological experiences. This will count toward their fine arts graduation requirement at Monrovia High School.
Does it meet a science or a math requirement?
At this point, it's in the fine arts area.
And are we considering any kind of coding classes? Because, I mean, how are kids going to walk into a video game design class with no computer programming?
This has some preliminary coding
Okay.
in the curriculum.
Oh, great.
Other questions or comments? Ms. Maricona, please take the vote.
Board Member Zuko,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 6.5, public review of recommended textbooks. Dr. Kaiser.
To go along with our AP course for Spanish language and culture and the course of video game design, we are going to have on public review the textbooks Tamus Language and Culture and Video Game Design Foundation Second Edition and the Video Game Design Foundation Software Design Guide Second Edition, in hopes of having these board approved at the next board meeting.
And those will be available at both the district office and the high school?
Yes, they will.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. And is there any problem bringing those back on consent? No, so you can bring that back on consent. All right, moving on to item 6.12, report on dual immersion language program. Dr. Kaiser.
Yes, we have with us tonight two of our illustrious principals, Mrs. Cindy Lathrop and Mrs. Suzanne Heck. Mrs. Cindy Lathrop will be reporting out on the progress of the dual immersion program Spanish at Monroe, grades TK to grade 4. Next year we will be adding grade 5. And Suzanne Heck will be sharing with us the plans for the TK and kindergarten dual immersion program for Plymouth for next year.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about dual language, and I'm even more excited that I'm not alone tonight because we're going to talk about Monroe, and I'm going to talk about the Spanish dual immersion program, but then Suzanne is going to talk about Plymouth and the new Mandarin dual language or dual immersion program. So we've got two different little reports for you, but I'm glad I'm not standing up here by myself, so that's good. So just a little background, you've had this information before, but at Monroe, the Spanish program is a 90-10 model, which means the majority of the day starting in TK and kindergarten and first grade, the majority of the day is spent in Spanish with just a little of the day reserved for English, intensive English that is. We now have fourth graders, and they are down to 50% of the day in Spanish and 50% in English. And the goal of our program, of course, among many others, is to provide students with the opportunity to leave us biliterate, bilingual, socially, academically, and proficient at grade level in both languages. I have a little bit of data for you. This is our program right now. And the graph shows that half of our students, we have 286 students, half of them are Monroe students. They come from Monroe families. And then the rest of them are kind of evenly spaced out from other schools in the district as well as outside the district. This is very interesting and very exciting because we have now about 120 applicants for our TK and kindergarten program for next year. That's enough for 3 classes and 1 TK class, and so it's kind of exciting to maybe be moving into a bigger dual language program. But the demographics changed a little bit because we have less of the students, less percentage of the students who are Monroe students, although it's about the same number as before, and many more from outside the district, which I think is pretty interesting. They come from Pasadena, they come from Temple City, they come from Covina, they come from all over to come to our program. They've heard about it from their friends. And for the first time, I'm also bringing you some achievement data. And in front of you right now, you have our 3rd grade SRI scores for our dual language program and for the whole school. So the first 2 bars, you'll see our 2 dual language 3rd grade classes. And as you know, we're concentrating on 3rd grade in the district, so I'm bringing you this information. And then we have our overall Monroe scores. I have to tell you, I didn't put in here, but our 3rd grade English, 1 class was well above and 1 class was well below. But the overall average, you can see that our dual language classes are holding their own. The research shows that in 2nd and 3rd grade, when we start getting some of the data, you see a dip in their scores because they've been only learning in Spanish, basically, but they're taking an English test for the first time sometimes. So we're kind of excited. They're holding their own in 3rd grade in English. And then finally, as far as data goes, we have 4th grade benchmark scores. This is from March, and it shows our 2 4th grade dual language program or classes on the language arts benchmark. And you see our school average and you see the district average at that point in time. I'm hoping I had all the data at that point. But our dual language kids are phenomenal here. You can see that they're outperforming our other students at our school pretty significantly. And it's a small class. They get a lot of attention, but it's so exciting. You should be in there seeing what these kids are doing. It's amazing. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is that we're planning for the future. Some parents and Dr. Kaiser and I met with a task force of all different parents from the dual language program. They were from kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade parents, and we talked about, okay, what's next? Because there's only 1 more year at Monroe before our 4th graders go to 5th grade, and then they're going to go to a middle school. So some of the questions we're going to ask are, where are the students going to go? What kind of classes are they going to take? The percentage of the day that will be in Spanish? What is the staffing going to be at the schools? So we're looking to the future, and we've already started that process. And that's my report on Spanish dual immersion, except for I'm hoping I can get this video to play.
We've never had a meeting in which we didn't need help on technical.
Dos, tres.
Cuando escribo mi opinión, comparto lo que pienso o siento acerca de un tema del mundo o de un texto que he leído. Como escritor, utilizo el tipo chin para hablar y defender mi opinión. Para concluir, reafirmo mi opinión, reflexionando en el tema.
What you saw there was a chant that is based on some work that all of our teachers in elementary school are doing on with Nancy Fetzer strategies. What they were talking to you about was what they would put into an opinion piece that they write. And so the chant helps them to remember when they do their opinion writing what needs to be in that writing piece. And that's what you heard them talking about. Thank you very much, and I'm going to introduce Suzanne Heck.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about our dual programs tonight. Oops. And so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about some of our preliminary information. Thank you. And similar to Monroe, we are going to be launching this, but not doing the 90-10 more than likely, because most Mandarin programs are 50-50, although we will be exploring options before we begin. But 50-50 is traditionally how a Mandarin dual immersion program will work. So half the day will be in English, half the day will be in Mandarin. And our goal, similar to the goals with Monroe, is to produce students who are biliterate, being able to read, write, and speak, and have the social proficiencies needed. And if you're not aware, Mandarin is the fastest growing language in the Western world right now. So we are sitting in a great position to provide our students with the language that they will need in the global marketplace. So right now we have just started enrollment back in February, and we have 35 families who are registered for our program, and we are continuing to enroll. So we are starting with kindergarten and TK, and then similar to how it worked at Monroe, we will then be adding classes over the course of the next several years and creating a class of students, a school within a school of students who are speaking Mandarin. So if anyone is interested in joining our program, if you have TK children or kindergarten age children, we are going to be continuing to enroll. So we are letting everyone in the community know that we are accepting packets. And we do have some packets from surrounding cities: Arcadia, Glendora, Temple City, El Monte. So you do not need to be a Monrovian resident to join the Monrovia dual language program at Plymouth as well. We are accepting applications from surrounding communities. And so the hiring process has begun. Mr. Jackson and Dr. Kaiser and Ms. Connie Wu have been there helping me with the hiring process. And we are looking at teachers who are proficient in Mandarin. And we have applications on EdJoin right now. And students will acquire Mandarin and English by the end of this first year and all the way through till the end of high school. That is our goal, hoping that they end with the seal of biliteracy. And the benefits not only of Mandarin, but also of a dual language program can be seen here on this slide. It does give students stronger cognitive skills. It is an advantage to knowing two languages. If you've ever been, if you've ever traveled and you know a little bit of the language, it does definitely bring people together when you can say a couple of words in the native language. It also increases their ability to adapt to different types of learning, improves overall academic performance and problem-solving skills. Students perform better on standardized tests, as Mrs. Lathrop pointed out with the benchmark data that she was showing and the SRI data. And young children, when they learn at this young age, can begin to have a native-like speech, and it does open up a lot of opportunities for them as they grow older in the global marketplace. So I thought this was a fitting quote. I was given the opportunity to travel to China and learn just about that much. But I have to say, when I meet people from China now, a couple of little words here and there, and they are just so thrilled that you can say hello and thank you and goodbye, and I can even count to 10. And so I thought this was a fitting quote because Nelson Mandela said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, it goes to his heart. And I think that's exactly what we want our students to be able to do, is to really be completely competent, both academically and socially, in our dual programs here in Monrovia. Any questions?
One comment from me first, and that is it's so good to see the data supporting what we were supposed to see. When we started considering this, all the research showed that it resulted in increased performance by the kids that were in these programs, and it's good to see that data is supporting that in our own schools. One question, so far we've been able to accommodate everyone that's applied for these programs, is that correct?
No, not really. We've had waiting lists for the last couple of years, but just short waiting lists. This year, if we do not implement a third kindergarten class, we will have more than 30, and we're getting people in still all the time. We have already more than 30 that would be on a waiting list.
Okay, so there are times we haven't cleared that waiting list.
Right. We have a few on the waiting list. Not very many each year. Every year gets more, but last year most of the waiting list went to first grade. The parents wanted to get their first graders in because they missed the kindergarten, and then we had just a few on kindergarten.
Okay. Other question? Thanks so much for that great report.
Thank you.
Adios. Okay, moving on to item 7.6, the 2014-15 student attendance report. Ms. Wu.
Yes. This school year, our P2 attendance end of March 26, and P2 attendance is the majority, the attendance number generated for next year's funding. And this year, our P2 attendance is 5,649.21. And the attendance enrollment ratio is 95.71%. Our attendance ratio dropped a little bit compared with last school year. The main reason is because of flu season and kept a lot of kids at home. And I think one significant number worth report to board is our Santa Fe. This school year at the P2, our Santa Fe school, their attendance ratio is 97.2, which means that in the 10 years history of this school district, this is the highest rate of attendance. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Santa Fe, the teachers, staff, and the principals and the assistant principal for their wonderful work done to make sure that we have a slogan here. One time in class, every day, it pays to be in school. That definitely paid off. And thank you for Mayflower staff and also the parents and for the great job you guys done.
Thank you. Are there questions, comments? All right, thanks so much. Moving on to item 7.9, pricing advisory services. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wu.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Gilliland. The purpose for district hiring the price agency in the process of our 2006 Measure M bond refinance is to make sure that all the professionals in the team, they exercise their due diligence and make sure that the district will get the best price. And in the process of the bond issuance, normally the district hire financial analyst. The cost of financial analyst in the whole process is around $60,000. Because our nature of refinancing, we feel that the pricing agency, their service is good enough for us to get a good deal, and the pricing agency normally costs around $10,000. The company we hire for board approval is called K&N Public Finance, and their quote is for $8,000.
Questions or comments?
Just a real quick comment so people understand how this works. Since this is a refinancing, this is typically not as complex as putting out a new bond issue. In a new bond issue, oftentimes we'll get a financial advisor, and their job is to come in and try to give us different ways of doing things. But in this particular case, since we're fairly confident on what we're doing and what the structure is going to be, we just want to make sure that we are getting the very best price possible. So in addition to our underwriters, the people who are selling the bonds, going out and selling it, we have another person who's coming in to make sure that we truly are getting the best price. And for this function, it is a very, very low cost versus the amount of money that we would possibly risk by not having them.
All right, Ms. Maricona, please take the vote.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Zuko.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 8.5, collective bargaining agreement. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Jackson.
Yes, indeed. The proposed settlement was presented for public disclosure on April 29, 2015, as required by AB 1200, and a copy of the summary is attached. Therefore, the Board of Education is requested to approve a 2.36% increase to salary schedules for the Monrovia Teachers Association, the California School Employees Association, the Monrovia Association of School Administrators, and the Confidential Classified Management, retroactively to July 1st, 2014. In addition, the budget increase of $870,000 approximately per year from the unrestricted general fund will be added to the district's 2014-15 operating budget and multi-year budget projections that our CFO, Connie Wu, has assured us that we are solvent as a district.
And I got a letter as board president from the LA County Office of Education that said they had reviewed that and we were going to be solvent.
Okay.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Mariconda.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Zuko.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
President Gilliland. Yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Moving over to item 8.6, variable term waiver for speech language hearing specialists. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Jackson.
Yes, indeed. The Board of Education is requested to approve the variable term waiver application for the 2015-2016 school year on behalf of a new outlier. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing provides an option to fill vacant certificated positions under certain conditions. Because the Monrovia Unified School District has been unable to recruit and hire fully credentialed applicants for the position of speech, language, and hearing specialist, the district approved the variable term waiver application on behalf of ANU for the 2014-2015 school year.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Mariconda, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Hammond.
Yes.
Board Member Zuko.
Yes.
President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 8.7, declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Dr. Jackson.
The Board of Education is requested to adopt the Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators. The declaration shall certify that a diligent search has been made for certificated teachers, including teachers who are pursuing certification through internships or alternative routes, that the district has been unable to recruit a sufficient number of these teachers to meet all staffing requirements. The Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators is attached. It should be noted that we have projected that the district may be required to hire teachers on an emergency permit based on the need for teachers for our dual immersion programs, such as Mandarin and Spanish that you just saw the presentation on, as well as teachers needing the cross-cultural language and academic development certificate, which allows one to teach English language learners. There is no budget impact here.
All right, we're being asked to adopt the declaration, but there's no motion. Do we need a motion? I would think, yes.
Jump the gun.
Could I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Ms. Zuko.
Question. Okay, I'm trying to remember, but is No Child Left Behind still a thing? I mean, is that still?
Still the law?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I thought it expired. I mean, it has.
It
We
has,
still have to
but
do-
we're still following the guidelines, yes.
Okay. Sounds like a great use of time. So, that's fine.
Okay, other questions, comments? Ms. Mariconda, please take the vote.
Board Member Zuko.
Sure.
Board Member Hammond.
Sure.
Yes.
Board Member Wong.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 9.1, Board Policy 1312.3, Uniform Complaint Procedures. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Dr. Jackson.
I am presenting the board with yet another updated uniform complaint procedure. for first reading so that we are in alignment with the new policies and procedures recommended by the California State Department of Education as we are proceeding through the federal program monitoring process. The most recent amendments are noted in red this time.
Just for the folks that are watching out there, there's no major changes, just some
Very
minimal
subtle
wording
changes. We
yes.
needed to move sentences from various paragraphs to others.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Mariconda?
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Zuko?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Sure.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
President Gilliland?
Absolutely.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, at this point, we would like to, or we will need to, recess the open session and reconvene our closed session so we can complete our discussions on the expulsion cases there. So we will be back as soon as we finish that closed session discussion. That's watching out there, that because these are student issues and privacy issues involved, this requires closed session discussion. Okay, we will adjourn the special closed session. No action was taken, and we will reconvene the open session at 8:58. Item 9.2, consider expulsion case number 1415. Do I have a motion?
I move that that expulsion case number 1415-08, student 111106260, be expelled for the remainder of the current term and first term, yes, of the 2015-16 school year. The expulsion is based on the findings of fact that the student violated the following provisions of the Ed Code 48900. No, I'm sorry. I thought it was 9 is 8?
8.
Okay, we discussed them in the other order, so I'm sorry.
Yes.
Committed or attempted to commit sexual assault or battery, and 48915, committing or attempting to commit sexual assault.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Mariconda, please take a vote.
Board Member Zuko?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 9.3, consider expulsion case 1415-09.
I move that expulsion case 1415-09, student 111104284, be expelled, but suspend enforcement for the remainder of the current term and first term of the 15-16 school year. The expulsion is based on the findings and fact that the student violated the following provisions of the Ed Code 48900, caused or attempted to cause or threatened to cause physical injury to another person, or engaged in an act of bullying, including but not limited to bullying committed by means of an electronic act.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Mariconda, please take the vote.
Board Member Zuko?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 9.6, pending board issues. Are there any questions or concerns about the pending board issues list? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 10.1, regular board meeting. The next one is next Tuesday, so put that on your calendars. At 5:30, we will celebrate the Classified Employee of the Year with the Personnel Commission.
Mr. President, that is a typographical error. It should be 4:30 that the Personnel Commission will convene.
All right, we will, if you come at 5:30, you will miss it.
I'm going to have an issue that day.
All right.
And that is the day of my last chemotherapy, so I will not be here.
We wish you well. That
I know, I hate to miss it, but I'm glad it's my last one.
Yes. Yes.
So are we.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Then we have 3 regular board meetings coming up, May 27th, June 10th, and June 24th. Memorial Day is coming up. Sites will be closed. And then we have graduations. Canyon Oaks on June 2nd, Monrovia High on June 4th, and promotions coming up for middle schools. So it's going to be a busy few weeks. Last day of school is June 5th with a minimum day schedule. All right, summer school schedule. For those of you that don't know, we'll be holding summer school between June 11th to July 9th with elementary at Plymouth, the middle school at Clifton, and the high school at Monrovia High. At Monrovia High will be June 11th through July 15th. One open house left at Santa Fe, May 20th at 5. And if there's no other new business, old business, I will adjourn this meeting in the memory of Jim Stewart and Robert Clarno, retired high school teachers who passed away recently, at 9:02.